Welcome to Bitter Reality Brewing. Yes, this is week one, beers from around the world. If you haven't seen the intro, go check it out. Just kind of going over all the basics of what we're going to be doing. Don't forget, like, subscribe, keep sharing, definitely appreciate it. To keep these videos under control, we're only gonna do about 4 beers per video as a review. And if you haven't seen the intro, I will give you a little hint. Basically, we're just trying to introduce people to other beers. I know if you're in Europe or Australia and you've had a Budweiser, you're like, man, beer in America sucks. And I may not be able to get the best beer from these countries from around the world, but I'm going to get as many as I can so that I can kind of give you an introduction to all the different beers available, at least here in the US, from those countries. Changed some things around here, the tap, the lighting had to change again temporarily. You have to watch some of my videos and you'll know why, but this week we're gonna cover Lithuania. Some weeks we will have to cover multiple countries, but this week we're covering Lithuania, and Lithuania is definitely gonna go into probably a 2-week thing just because there's so many beers from Lithuania. Lithuania, officially, the Republic of Lithuania, is located in the Baltic region of Europe. I'm not gonna give you a bunch of history on it, but I wanna give you a little bit just so you understand where and what Lithuania is. As you can see on the map, they are on the Baltic Sea, south of Finland, west of Sweden, and northeast of Poland. Why I didn't mention a few other countries? I'm doing it from the largest landmarks that I know most people know and know where they are. There's approximately 2.8 million people that live in Lithuania, and majority actually like basketball. Basketball is their favorite sport by a mile from my understanding, which kind of shocked me. I expected soccer because I've seen that flag color at a soccer game, or European football, as I call it, instead of American football. If you were to fly from Lithuania, which I was shocked, we have actual direct routes here in Jacksonville, Florida to Lithuania. A little more expensive than going out of Miami or Orlando, but still, it was kind of cool to know. But you would most likely fly into their capital, which hopefully I can get the pronunciation right. Vilnius, I believe is the capital from my understanding. As you can see from the photos, I'm gonna be letting go in front of my face and around me of Lithuania. Lithuania has that old European charm or the little bit of medieval influence from their history, and of course, modern cities. I love the beautiful landscapes I see in almost all their photos. And it's like you can't find a photo of Lithuania without seeing trees and green surrounding everything, which is very relaxing to me. And Lithuania is actually one of the few countries I've seen that has gone from existing to not existing, back to existing, back to non-existing, back to existing, from World War II and many other wars, and Russia taking over several times from my understanding, and Germany taking over once. So kudos to the Lithuania people from hanging in there and fighting to have your country. On with the beer tasting. Okay, the first of the Lithuanian beers, this is from Gubernija, if I'm saying that correctly. Gubernija, founded in 1665 in Lithuania. It's a noble lager with Saaz hops. Untapped has it at 2.8 out of 5, not the best on the review. Usually like a little better than 3. It's only 657 reviews. It's 5.2% ABV, 20 IBU. Seems a little high compared to some of the American lagers, which range from 8 to 18, but actually international lagers are usually around 18 to 28 IBUs. And it's a big boy, 500 milliliters or 16.9 ounces. So I got my Sam Adams 16 ouncer here. I will also do something, and I'll put that up right now here, and I'll do something. Down in the description, I'm gonna put a link to the brewery. I was looking around for some pictures of the brewery, and they were okay, nothing spectacular. It's a very, very old building with some more newer buildings around it, but nothing really modern looking from my perspective. I mean, come on, it's been around since founded in 1665, but one of the coolest things in the description, if you go check it out, there's a panoramic of the brewery, and you're like, okay, it's a bunch of old buildings. But then there's 2 more panoramics if you go right or left in the panoramics. And it's like an underground area that looks like it's been there since 1665. And they have little candles and some tables and stuff. And Gubernija supposedly has some of their own pubs throughout Lithuania, which is pretty cool. So just something to go check out. I was looking at it going, oh wow, old brewery. And then I went and ooh, very cool. And they had a little table and chair. I'm like, that would be cool. Probably nice and cool, even though I know that country is probably cold half the year. So here we go. One other thing they do on this can, which I thought was kind of cool, and it says 1685 on, or 1665, it actually says on the can. I thought it said 1685. My eyes are not the best. There we go. is on the bottom, and you might not be able to see it very well, but they have bitterness, sweetness, and color, and they have a little 5 scale, and the sweetness is a 2, the bitterness is a 2, and then the color is a 2. So I'm not sure how much lighter you can go other than maybe water. So there it is. It's not crystal clear. It's got some haze to it. Looks more like chill haze. I don't see anything floating around in there. Got lots of bubbles coming up. Has a nice foam. Light Pilsner smell. Kind of reminds me of sunshine. Don't really taste a grainy smell. Yeah, I said I didn't taste a grainy smell. Yeah, I meant smell. It's just a nice light Pilsner. Saaz adds a little spice to it. I like Saaz for that main reason. I've only ever used it as a finishing hop. 5.2% ABV. It's nice, easy drinkable. Doesn't come across as a heavy beer in any way. I don't really taste, and I can't tell if I taste it, but I don't really taste any kind of corn, although there may be some in there. I don't know for a fact. It just says barley malt and noble Saaz hops. So, yeah. Very drinkable. Very, very nice. And it's a lager, I believe. Yep. I keep thinking ales in my head. I'm not a big lager fan, but for a lager, I would definitely be able to drink this without issue, without question. If I didn't know what else was on tap, I could definitely start with this. This would be a good starter. If you like something light, spicy, a little effervescent, fresh, this would be a good go-to. It's just a nice, easy drinking beer. It's got a little hint of spice in it. It's got a crisp taste to it. It's not real aromatic, like I said, and I don't taste any corn, even though they say there's not. According to the description, they're not saying there's not. They're just not describing there is. And on a lot of the lagers I've had from Eastern Europe, I do taste a bit of the corn or corn grit. And so it's very common, but yeah, I'm just gonna say malt, hops, water, and some yeast. Okay, let's go on to the next one. Okay, we have another Gubernija, founded in 1665. This is the Imperator, which I've heard so many pronunciations of this. Ambree Ale, which is an amber ale. Untapped has it as 2.92, pretty close to the 3, out of 5, with 1,378 reviews. It's quite a few reviews. 5.7% ABV, 18 on the IBU, brewed with malts and aromatic pearl hops. I've never had an aromatic pearl hop. I've never really gotten much from that, and I've never brewed with it, but I've definitely drank a few beers with it. It's another big boy, 500 milliliters, 16.9 ounce. I have noticed too out on the web that this thing comes in bottles too, based on where it's being distributed. It's also got the bitterness, sweet, and color, and the bitter is really low. Sweetness is at a 3, which kind of scares me, and the color is at a 3. And from what I've seen in the pictures, it looks a little brown, but it's not a brown ale. It's definitely an amber. Get you a little B-roll there per se. Oops. But don't make a mess first. Well, I can tell you right off the bat with a quick sip, a big caramel, boom. So, a little chill haze there too. Definitely not super clear. It's got a nice head retention on there. No real aromatics. I mean, very subtle toffee or caramel maybe. If you're a teenager or maybe a young kid, you might be able to smell something, but I don't really notice much. It's nice. It's kind of a very subtle caramel, a little tang to it. Not sure, good, bad, indifferent, but very, very subtle caramel, a little toffee on the nose. It's nice. I like the Noble Pilsner better, or Noble Lager better, but it's nice. It's just a nice amber ale. If you like an amber ale, it's very drinkable, very mild. It's a big boy, 500 milliliters. Like I said, it's 16.9 ounces, but it's a nice one. If I had between that and the lager, I'd pick the lager. I'm not a huge lager fan, but the lager was very, very drinkable. This is just nice. Sorry, Lithuania. Okay, we got another Gubernija, Yep, we're still in Lithuania. Like I said, found it in 1665. It's the Velvet Brown Ale. Untapped has it at 3.5. I'm excited. Out of 5. Only 728 reviews, but it's over the 3, and that threshold seems to be where I like to be. But it's a 5.9. They keep going up, and yeah, we're getting darker and darker. I got a Baltic Porter after this. It's an IBU of 15. Kind of wish it was a little higher, but that's okay. It's got a 1 on the bitterness, 3 on the sweetness out of 5, and a 4 on the color. So it's not quite black like the Baltic Porter I'm hoping is, but it's getting there. It's described as a dark amber beer with an expressive flavor made from 3 malts, bittered with Magnum and Pearl hops. They seem to like the Pearl hops. And it's another big boy. We're at 500 milliliters or 16.9 ounces. Kind of wishing everything here in, the US came in big boys, but it is what it is. Okay, it's a little darker than amber, not a lot. Definitely has a little more carbonation right off the bat. So we're gonna have to stop. I'm not gonna be able to pour that in there. Yeah, definitely a little darker. Yeah, I'm not seeing any chill haze on this. It's nice and clear, although it's a lot darker, so it's a lot harder to see through. Okay, I'm getting smooth toffee, caramel, just a nice bready, caramely. That deserves a 3.5. So a little concerned, the bitterness was so low, the sweetness was a little high for me, but it's really not overly sweet at all. It's smooth, it's got a hint of sweetness to it, kind of complements that bready, rich, caramely toffee tastes. I'm gonna get, actually out of the 3 beers so far, more drinkable than the lager. Definitely more drinkable than the amber. The amber just, just not quite up to par. But the lager was really good. The amber was okay. This is good. I'm not gonna say I'm not a brown ale. Brown ales are hard to find, so I don't drink a lot of brown ales. That's what I would say, because I like brown ales. I just don't find them very often. They're not as popular as far as in the home brewing or even in the beer stores and bottle shops, but that's a really good brown ale. Compliments to Gubernija. Great beer. And yes, we have another Gubernija. I know we have quite a few from them. This is the last of their little series that look like this, and this is their darkest. It's gone from, the nice lager to the amber to the brown to the porter. This is the Royal Baltic Porter. On Untapped, it's at a 2.7 out of 5, which is under the 3. Always bothers me a bit. 794 people reviewed it. 6.4% ABV, IBU kicking around 21%. They seem to be like loving that 20% area, or 20 points, or 18, 20, 15, 21, but this is 21. It's described as rich caramel tastes with light aromatic tones of wine and dried fruit. The only malt or hop it talks about is only malt, and it talks about it's being brewed with a caramel malt, and that's it. And it keeps talking about noble men instead of noble hops, so who knows. It's a big boy can, 500 milliliters, 16.9 ounces. I can only guess it may have Magnum, at least for bittering, since that seems to be one of the 3 hops that they've mentioned quite a bit in their brewery. And I don't blame them there. A lot of breweries will only buy certain hops because they can buy them in bulk and it keeps their costs down, and I definitely understand. The pictures I saw from this beer is a lot lighter than I would expect for a Baltic Porter, and it's pouring a lot lighter than I would have expected for a Baltic Porter. A Baltic Porter should be very dark in my eyes. And maybe I'm wrong. The rest of the world doesn't see everything the same way I see it. And then also on here, I know I've been showing you this, the bitterness, we're at a 2. The sweetness, we're at a 4 out of 5. And darkness or color, we're at a 4 out of 5. I would expect a 5. I mean, come on. It's a porter, make it dark. That looks like a brown ale. I'm sorry. That looks like a brown ale. That does not look like a porter, and that could almost pass for a dark amber. A lot of caramel. It's got that sharp crispness that you would get from more of a lager or a Pilsner. It's good beer. I think it's better than a 2.7. I'd maybe give it a 2.9, but it has a little more mouthfeel than the lager, the amber, or the brown ale. And they were mild. They weren't thin. They were mild. But this definitely has more mouthfeel. It is. I'm going to give it the mouthfeel that of maybe a mild porter or a mild stout. But the color, I mean, that's just not dark. Not dark at all. So, if you like a nice, kind of dark, caramel beer, lots of caramel. I have no aromatics. I don't smell dried fruit or wine. I definitely taste a little bit of the dried fruit in the caramel. It goes without saying. The wine would be stretching it a bit, but it's a good beer. It's just not, if I ordered a Baltic Porter and you gave me this, I would look at you like you poured the wrong beer. Just saying, but definitely a good beer. It's definitely drinkable. It's just not what I would expect for a Baltic Porter. Thank you again for joining us here at Bitter Reality Brewing. Don't forget, like, subscribe. Don't miss the episodes on this. This is, like I said, week 1. And if you didn't see the intro, I put a little link in the beginning of the video. We'll keep coming at you with many other beers from many other countries. Thank you again.